wonder how many people remember the product legs. That is an L with an apostrophe, then eggs. Back in the day, these products were marketed in egg-shaped containers. Anyway, in 1975, the Legs company mailroom received a box addressed to Legs, L-E-G-G-S, with no apostrophe. No one noticed the label, and an employee opened up the container and found 871 reels of 8mm film. The boxes containing the reels offered up suggestive titles, racy descriptions of the films, and suggestive drawings. Now, this was unusual. Holding up one of the films to the light, the employee could not really discern what was being depicted in the film he was examining. So he called the local FBI office for further instructions. An agent told him to secure the contents and that he would be by later to pick them up. A couple of days later, and without making any effort to obtain a search warrant to view the films, the agent obtained the films, secured a projector to view the films, and then proceeded to watch some of these movies. Now, they were, in fact, contraband pornographic material. Some months later, employees of the Legs company, no apostrophe, were indicted for placing contraband pornographic materials into interstate commerce. This led to their eventual conviction, a conviction they countered was secured only through the direct violation of their Fourth Amendment privilege to be free from unreasonable search and seizure by the government. Were they right? Well, sort of, and enough to overturn their convictions. Let's discuss what happened. The question of whether the defendants had an expectation of privacy in the content of the films they shipped had already been resolved in an earlier Supreme Court case. They did. The question before the court here was how much of their reasonable expectation of privacy was destroyed by the private party intrusion by the Legs apostrophe employees. You see, the government can go where private parties have previously trampled, provided the private parties did not trample at the behest of the government. And the FBI agents did just what the Legs employees did. They examined the outside of the package. They acknowledged that the package contained a great number of films. They observed the film box descriptions and depictions. Now, the record isn't clear on this point, but I wouldn't be surprised if the FBI agents held up some of these films to the light to see if they could determine the content of the film. Now, up to this point, the government did not do one thing more than the private employees had done. But then they crossed the proverbial Rubicon. The agents went further than the private parties did when they located a projector and visually viewed the images contained on film. What a shame, too, as the Supreme Court stated that the agents clearly had probable cause to secure a search warrant based on the labels on the boxes in which these films were found. To compound the government's misdeed, they had days in which to secure the warrant before viewing the films. I hate it when the good guys get in their own way and drop the ball. Because here's the problem. All evidence secured through the use of that projector, something that the private parties did not do, was suppressed from evidence. And the depictions on the boxes of films were pretty good indications of what was to be found inside, but not proof beyond a reasonable doubt that the films were contraband. You really needed to view the films lawfully for that to be the case. Being in lawful possession of a container is not enough for police officers to look inside. They must be in lawful possession plus have another reason, like their safety is in question. They are inventorying the items pursuant to a valid agency policy. They have inspection authority over the container. They've got consent from an interested party, or they have a search warrant. It's usually a good idea to seek a search warrant, especially when officers have the time to do so. The safety of the agents here was not in question. The film reels were not about to disappear into the unknown or self-destruct. The agents securely possessed the films and had days to write up a search warrant application. This looks more like an oversight, but one that proved costly in the courtroom. My name is Brad Lawrence, and this has been a FLETC Talk.